Like, I don't like the TSA.
The airport security, not a fan.
Yeah, I don't like them. They don't do anything.
I feel like most people would share that sentiment.
Most people don't like the TSA. I think even the people that work for the TSA don't like the TSA.
Probably not, except for the one person. Every time you go to the airport, there's one person who takes their job way too seriously.
The one dude that's like, I'm single-handedly fighting all of terrorism. Like, it's this, yeah, the one guy that, like, somehow he couldn't get hired at the police department, and then he couldn't get hired at a private security agency. And, like, he's totally going to join the army. He's definitely going to join the army.
If only they'll take him, but it's bad knees.
Yeah, he's got really bad knees and
feet.
asthma and sleep apnea. And also he's 250 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
But he's definitely going to join the army. Next year, he's going to join the army. You'll see. He's going to do it. It's like, there's always that one dude.
Yeah, but most people don't much care for it, including the workers there. It's security theater.
I looked up earlier whether or not you can bring a hammer onto an airplane. You can't.
I didn't think you were able to, but I also don't know of any specific rules that say no.
There's some weird rules that they have. It's really infuriating. I have this tool
called a
gun.
They wouldn't let me bring
that immediately gets you a 100% discount at any store. No, I have this tool that I believe it's called the jack. Let me look it up. It's not a car jack.
I was gonna say, they didn't let me bring my vehicle jack on the airplane. How am I supposed to change my transmission?
It's always interesting seeing the things that airport security takes away from people. It'll be like a weed whacker. And it's like, why are you trying to bring a weed whacker onto an airplane? Okay, so I have this thing that is called the jack, and it's made by Dull Boy Blades. And what it is it's a pry bar or scraping tool. You could use it as a letter opener. And it doesn't actually have a sharpened edge on it. According to the company that makes it, and according to the TSA, it meets all of the requirements for you to be allowed to carry it onto an airplane. It literally is a screwdriver. It's just a funny-shaped screwdriver.
It's a screwdriver that looks like a knife.
I mean, I don't think it looks like a knife.
Do you think the TSA people are gonna realize that?
What I have found, because I have tried to bring that onto an airplane 3 times, it has worked once. What the point of this multi-tool is, you use it for the stuff that everyone uses their pocket knife for that you shouldn't use your pocket knife for. Like prying, scraping, using it as a screwdriver. It's all stuff that people always use their pocket knife for that you should not actually use it for.
Right, because it'll dull the blade or
That's
break
why
it.
it's the jack, because it's supposed to be the jack of all trades. Anyway.
Okay. I can see why that might be a handy tool to have. Don't know if you need to necessarily bring it with you.
It's more of the fact that I should be able to bring it on an airplane, so why aren't you letting me bring it on an airplane?
When they say you can't bring it with you, do you have to throw it away?
No. The times that they've said that I have to bring it with me, I've just gone back and thrown it into my check bag. Because like they haven't put it on the conveyor belt yet, because everyone that works at the airport is incredibly lazy and doesn't do anything.
I see.
Anyway.
Whenever I've checked a bag, it automatically gets put on the conveyor, and I never see it until I get to the destination.
I mean, I've had that happen. I've also just walked back out to my car and put it in my car.
Oh, I guess that works, yeah.
That's the thing. Anyway, 2 out of 3 times I've gone through airport security, and the person at airport security has looked at it and went, no, you can't bring that on the airplane. And I said, why not? And they said, well, it's a knife. And I'm like, it's not a knife. It doesn't have any sharpened edges. So why can't I bring it on the airplane? Well, you could hurt someone with it. I could hurt someone with a pencil.
Yeah.
So why can't I bring this on the airplane? Well, I don't like it. All right.
That's the bottom line. If they don't like it, that's the final say.
All right. If you don't like it, fine. If that's the reason why I can't bring it on the airplane is because you, the TSA agent, don't like it, fine. Whatever. I won't bring it on the airplane then. So I have that multi-tool, and like I've tried to bring it on airplanes a couple times. And the thing that's really infuriating is that it meets all the TSA requirements for basically just being a screwdriver. And I even got the one with the red handle on it, so it looks less threatening, because then it just looks like a screwdriver. I mean, granted, yeah, like basically almost anybody will look at this thing and be like, that looks like you could hurt somebody with it.
Yeah.
But my counterpoint to that is, I hold up a screwdriver, yeah, that looks like you could hurt somebody with it. Yeah. And like, they're not gonna say anything because it's a screwdriver. I've had so many weird interactions with TSA. They really kind of piss me off. I have the Surefire Stiletto Pro 2 flashlight, which is a flashlight.
Right.
It's kind of odd looking, but it is a flashlight. And I went through airport security at one point. I put everything from my pockets into the stupid bin and went through the x-ray machine. And it gets on the other side, and the guy picks it up, and he looks at it, and he goes, "What is this?" With this incredibly accusatory tone.
Yeah.
Like I had just put a fucking fragmentation grenade on the conveyor belt. He looks at it, and he goes, "What's this?" I said, "It's a flashlight." He goes, "Are you sure?" Yup, it's a flashlight. It doesn't do anything else. Yeah, man, it's just a flashlight. He's like, "It's not a taser?" And I'm like, I'm about to hit you with some real fucking autism real quick. What you just called a taser is not actually a taser. What you just called a taser is a stun gun, which is a separate thing entirely. A taser is a completely different thing made by Axon Products, and the name is an acronym for Thomas A. Swift's electric rifle. That is a thing that shoots out 2 prongs and then hits the person with current. You are thinking of a stun gun, my friend, and no, this is not a stun gun. This is just a flashlight.
Yeah, you ignorant TSA agent. How dare you not know the difference?
Anyway.
He says, "Is this a flashlight?" That's when you take that and you turn on the strobe function and blind him.
Yeah, I just turned on the strobe function, pointed directly at his face. No, I literally turned on the flashlight part, and I was like, "Look, it's just a flashlight." He was just like absolutely indignant that this thing could be a flashlight, that it wasn't like something else. He was probably the dude that just is like, "I'm single-handedly stopping terrorism."
Right, because you don't know how many drugs can... I mean, that's a pretty big flashlight.
I had, oh my god, at one point I was going through airport security, and I had a book in my bag. They opened the book, and they started flipping through every page of the book.
Okay.
And I said, "What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, we're looking for paper explosives."
That's not a thing.
That isn't a thing. So what there are sheet explosives, which are thin 3 to 6 millimeter thick sheet of plastic explosive with an adhesive liner on the back of it so that you can slap it onto something and then just shove a detonator into it.
So he heard the phrase sheet explosive at one point and thought he had to check every book.
I could understand if he was like flipping through the book and to make sure that it wasn't like hollowed out.
Right.
So there was like a gun or something in there.
Or more than 3 ounces of liquid.
Oh god, more than 3 ounces of liquid. Oh my god, perish the thought. That whole 3 ounces of liquid thing pisses me off so fucking much. Because like the reason they quoted as to why they're doing that is because of binary liquid explosives. Which always have a fucking weird smell to them. And like, they're a weird color. And also, binary liquid explosives usually need some kind of like cooling mechanism. It's not just 2 fucking tubs of liquid that you just mix together and suddenly you've made a fragmentation grenade. That's not how that works.
I'll take your word on that. I don't know.
To me, it would be more of an actual thing if it was like, "Oh, we're stopping people from bringing acid onto the airplane and throwing acid in people's faces."
Definitely do that, yeah.
Which, you know, like whatever. But like the 3 ounces of liquid thing is so fucking stupid.
What if they had 3 ounces of acid?
I mean, you could still fucking blind someone with 3 ounces of acid.
Right, but if you're limited to only 3 ounces, then...
Just bring multiple containers.
Doing an acid attack, we have to take a moment to unscrew each and every capsule.
You know what's really dumb about the 3 ounces of liquid thing? You can bring as much liquid as you want as long as it is in a container labeled breast milk. I am not kidding.
I'd not heard that.
You can bring as much liquid as you want as long as it is in a container labeled breast milk. However, this does go into the whole like spirit of the law and letter of the law thing I was talking about earlier. That multi-tool I have, that meets the letter of the law, but it doesn't meet the spirit of the law.
Right.
So if you're a single dude getting on an airplane with a 3-gallon container, just a massive Dewar flask with a bunch of wires coming out of it and it says breast milk on it, they're probably going to stop you.
Yeah.
I could understand him flipping through the book, but it just went through the x-ray machine. So like you should be able to tell that it's just a book.
Yeah, it's not hollowed out. You can tell, unless your x-ray machine can't see through paper.
Some of the things that absolutely drive me insane about airport security is like, you can't bring a tiny pair of scissors onto an airplane. Like the little tiny scissors that are on a Swiss Army knife. No. That's not allowed. Those are dangerous. You could hurt somebody with those.
Well, the scissors are just 2 knives that are stapled together, so...
Yeah. Do you know what you can bring onto an airplane?
Many things, but what's...
12-inch long steel knitting spikes.
Oh.
Because you definitely couldn't jab someone's eye out with those.
Yeah.
You definitely couldn't hurt someone with 12-inch long steel knitting spikes.
Gonna confiscate them from grandma?
You can't bring a hatchet onto an airplane. That is a big no-no. Hatchets, no. You could hurt somebody with a hatchet. You could hurt a lot of people with a hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you can bring onto an airplane? Sharpened figure skates. Because you definitely could not hold a sharpened figure skate by the boot and smack someone in the head with it. You know what you cannot bring onto an airplane? A flail. You know, like a round, hard chunk of metal attached to a chain with a handle on it.
A Morning Star,
Yeah, you can't bring that onto... I don't know what the difference is between like a Morning Star, a flail. I know there's a difference between a flail and a mace. There's too many names. There's too many names for all that crap. Do you know what you can bring? A bocce ball and a wool sock.
So you're swinging around the bocce ball in the sock?
Have you ever seen a bocce ball? That would fucking hurt. You put that into a wool sock and smack someone in the... You would kill someone with that.
Yeah?
More to the point, you could just put a padlock into a wool sock and swing that around over your head.
You could. Sack of quarters.
Yeah. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can bring that onto an airplane. You definitely couldn't hurt anybody with those things. I'm not telling you how to improvise weapons at all. This is definitely not an instructional thing on how to improvise a weapon.
Mm-hmm. I think if somebody got on an airplane with the intent to cause harm, there's little we could do to stop it. But we could definitely minimize the amount.
Obviously you can minimize it. What I'm saying is that the TSA is completely pointless, though.
I was never debating that with you.
They have all these rules for what you can and can't bring onto an airplane that don't mean anything.
Right.
I remember flying somewhere, and I had brought my bag that was my backpack that I took when I went hiking or camping or whatever. Went through airport security, and I had forgotten that I had put a bottle of water in my bag beforehand.
Okay.
So I went through airport security. There's a person looking at the x-ray machine, and they never say what's in the bag or why the bag is being pulled. They just say bag check, and then someone else grabs the bag and looks at it. Sometimes they don't even talk to that person. They just say bag check. So this person, all they know is that there is something in this bag and they need to look at it.
Could be anything.
So they pull my bag off to the side, and the person opens up my bag. And the first thing he sees is the bottle of water in there. He says, you can't bring this. You can only bring 3 ounces of liquid. And I said, okay, fine. I was like, just take it. It's fine, whatever. So he takes the bottle of water and he goes and dumps it out. And he's like, okay, you can go. So I leave. I go sit down where my flight is, and I'm digging around in my bag trying to find my headphones because I had thrown the headphones in my bag somewhere. I'm digging around in my bag. I get to the bottom of the bag, and I feel something down there that should not be down there.
Yes.
What was down there was a bayonet for an AK-47.
So I actually had anticipated there being a pistol in your bag.
I have gone through airport security and they found shell casings in my bag before. And I was just like, whoops, that's not supposed to be in there.
Are you not allowed to bring shell casings?
You can. It's treated with weird suspicion, though. It's like, why do you have shell casings?
Yeah, you're gonna do some bullet pressing while you're on the plane.
Are you manufacturing amp? Yeah, I got the press. Here's the press right here. Here's the powder. I can bring powder, right? No, you cannot bring powder. Shit. All right.
That's good, because I left my primers at home.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just an AK-47 bayonet in the bottom of my bag because I had been using it as my camping knife. By the way, AK-47 bayonets make terrible camping knives. Don't use them.
Now we know. Does it have a handle? Is that why it's a bad knife?
No, it's just they're not very sharp.
Oh.
Yeah, they kind of just suck to use for basically anything other than attaching to the end of a gun and stabbing things.
That is its primary purpose.
Yeah, so when the bag had gone through, the person had presumably seen the knife in the bag, and they didn't think to mention to the other TSA agent, hey, this guy's got a fucking knife in his bag. Make sure this dude has a fucking Rambo bayonet in his bag. Make sure you take it away from him. Didn't think to mention that to him. Just told him bag check, and the other guy just went, oh, it's a bottle of water. That must be it.
That's all I saw.
Yeah, so I flew to my destination with a fucking bayonet in my bag, just like, I'm not telling anybody about this.
As you shouldn't.
Hey, why are you mad at me? I'm not the one that let a jackass with an AK-47 bayonet through airport security.
I'm not the incompetent one here,
Yeah.
except I probably should have taken that bayonet out before I started traveling. But it's not my fault.
Yeah, it's not my problem. Anyway, I do think it's kind of funny that they're like, you can't put any lithium batteries in your check bag, which I understand why. I understand why, because lithium fires are very difficult to put out, especially when they are in the cargo hold and you can't see the lithium fire. Because lithium batteries can just go boom, and like burst into flames. And if they're in the cargo hold, you could get like half the cargo hold is now on fire before you're aware that there is a lithium fire down there.
Mhm.
Whereas like if it's in the passenger compartment, you can kind of put a stop to it very quickly.
Yeah.
If there is a lithium battery that catches fire, you can kind of like chuck it into something and then it's not going to burn anymore in that thing.
Mhm.
But I do think it's funny that they're like, oh, you can't put these in the check bag item because they're dangerous. But if it's dangerous, why do you want me holding on to it?
I can't say I've had nearly as much trouble with the TSA as you have, but that's probably because I don't carry around knives and...
So I've done like 2 videos on the Streamlight Survivor flashlight. That's like one of my favorite flashlights ever. I brought that flying with me a couple times, and because it has batteries in it, they tell me it can't go in my check bag. So it goes with me in my carry-on bag. And when I went through airport security with this firefighter flashlight, the guy, again, looked at the flashlight and was like, what is this? And I was like, it's a flashlight. And he's like, dude, why are you carrying this flashlight? I think actually in that instance, when I went through airport security, I had 4 flashlights on my person.
He'd be right to be suspicious then.
It's just like, why do you have so many flashlights? And it's like, I could be a flashlight salesman. You don't know. Shut up. Let me through.
For the times when it's super dark.
One of my other fun instances with the TSA, I bought a Sony TCD5 because I love that cassette player. I think it's really fucking cool. It's super neat looking. I went on a trip somewhere and I brought the TCD5 with me, and I brought like 4 cassettes so that I could listen to music on my cassette player on the airplane. Even though it's the 2020s and that's an incredibly stupid thing to do, but it's funny.
If you want to enjoy the music however you want. Just nothing says you have to.
So, I mean, well, you don't want to be like that hipster that was in that photo in like the 2010s of him at a coffee shop listening to music on his record player. Brought a whole ass record player with him to the coffee shop and like 8 records.
I was gonna suggest bringing your vinyl collection on an airplane.
So when I went through airport security, they pulled my bag aside because obviously there's a fucking cassette player in it. The guy opens up the bag and looks at it and is just like, what is this? And I'm like, it's a cassette player.
Oh, you must be a time traveler.
And he's just like, why? And I was like, I like listening to music on cassette. It's the superior format. He's like, shut up. Go away.
All right, Mr. Time Traveler, take your Walkman and go away. By the way, when you get back to the 90s, don't tell about 9/11. I like my job.
Oh, man. I would beat somebody up for that. I would beat the TSA. I would get into a fight with a TSA agent over that. Oh. Let's disregard the fact that if I time traveled back to the 90s and I went around screaming about we have to get ready for 9/11, nobody's gonna fucking listen to me. Thank God there wouldn't be any insane asylums for them to throw me into. Thanks, Reagan.
We already know about 9/11.
Yeah, it happens every year, jackass. Anyway, I can't remember if I've talked about this before, but like going through TSA, flying back from Iraq.
I don't think
I know I told about the I'm made of explosive residue.
Right, yeah.
I can't remember if I told about anything else about that. So, when I flew back from Iraq, we got onto my base, which was Bob Falcon. I got onto, I believe, CH-47s, the Chinook helicopter. We got onto those, and then we flew from there, our FOB, to BIOP, or Baghdad International Airport. I can't remember if I flew out of BIOP on a C-17 or a C-130.
You would know if you were on a C-130 because it'd be rolling down the strip.
Ugh. Leaving Kuwait onwards, it was all on civilian airliners that were a dedicated military flight.
Okay.
So we're in Kuwait, we're getting ready to leave, and we have to go through airport security to leave Kuwait.
Even soldiers got to go through security.
So they're like going through everyone's bags and like running all of the bags through the security screening, and they like have to keep pulling bag after bag after bag out because there's like people have put their Xbox 360 in their bag. When I go to get through airport security, they're like, "Oh, you can't bring this multi-tool on the airplane."
You brought a Swiss Army knife or something?
I had a Leatherman multi-tool on my belt because I always had one.
Okay.
They're like, "You can't bring this on the airplane." Why? Who has a knife on it? And I was like, I've got an M4 on my back right now. The guy standing, this guy right here, don't bring me into this. This guy right here has an M9 in his holster and an M4 on his back. There's a dude back there with a belt-fed machine gun, but it's got a knife on it though, so you can't bring it on the airplane. I am on a flight filled with US soldiers that is leaving a combat zone to go back to the United States. How long in milliseconds do you think it would take for me to be beaten to death if I were to stand up holding this tiny knife and say, I'm taking over this airplane?
You did not say that to him.
I promise you I did.
Jeez.
And he's just like, you can't bring it on the airplane though. Those are the rules. Fine. So I had to go back, go find my bag, put it into my bag, go to get back in line for security, going through my stuff. You can't bring the Zippo lighter on the airplane. Why? Why can I not bring the Zippo lighter on the airplane? Well, because it has cotton with lighter fluid on the inside of it. You could not bring a Zippo lighter on the airplane because you could take it apart.
Is that the reason why?
And you could have filled it with gasoline or explosives.
Mm-hmm. But it's still less.
You could bring a lighter.
Still less than 3 ounces.
You could bring a Bic lighter onto an airplane, and you could bring matches onto an airplane, but you couldn't bring the Zippo.
Because
the way I got through airport security with the Zippo was I had to, in front of the TSA agent, open up the Zippo, pull all of the cotton out of the inside of it, put the cotton into a garbage can, and then put the lighter back together.
Come on.
That was how I had to go through airport security with this stupid Zippo lighter.
That is absurd.
Just like, what's the point of me doing this? What does that prove?
Thanks for your service. Now, demean yourself more.
Yeah. Pull down your pants and spread your butt cheeks. I want to look at your asshole.
You haven't bleached recently, I see.
I see you have not been sunning your holes. That made me so fucking mad.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Just the absolute absurdity of that blew my mind.
Whenever I have to deal with the TSA, I take anything that could even possibly be considered a problem item and stash it away. Any Zippos, any lighters, any knives, anything that could remotely be considered a weapon. I don't want to deal with the headache.
I will say that this used to be the surefire way to ensure that your bag would never get lost, would be to bring a gun. What you have to do if you want to fly with a firearm is it has to be inside a locked container that only you have the key for. You cannot use TSA locks, which I also don't recommend using TSA locks in general because anyone in the baggage handling area has the key to get into those. And there have been so many photos of TSA agents
dicking around with someone's gun.
Jeez. Because it had the TSA locks on it, and they were like, oh, there's a gun in here. Oh, wow, look at this gun. This is a cool gun.
Come on.
Like, I've literally seen photos of that. So, yeah, don't put TSA. Anyway, it has to be in a locked box in your check bag. And when you go to check your bag, you have to tell the baggage clerk that you have a firearm and that it needs to be inspected. And that what they do is they open it up and they look at it and they go, yup, that's a gun. And then they close it and you lock it. And then it goes through security. I also really enjoy doing that because I really like seeing the look of panic on the TSA or on the airline clerk's face when you tell them, I have a gun in this bag.
Yeah.
I don't say it like that. Yeah. I say, I have a firearm in this bag. But it's really fun watching the look of panic on their face of like, oh no, I don't know how to handle this.
Hello, sir. How can I help you today? I have a gun.
I have a gun.
We're taking this airplane to Boston. But that's where it's scheduled to go, sir. Good.
Good. One of the ways you could make sure the airline would never lose your bag was by going to Walmart, buying a plastic flare gun for $20, or just buying a cheap, crappy airsoft gun for $20, putting it into a pistol container that you can get at Walmart.
Telling them that you have a firearm.
Telling them that you have a firearm. Because then from that moment on, they have to maintain 100% accountability of the bag.
Did not know that.
Because they don't want to lose a bag with a gun in it inside an international airport.
Right.
They've gotten pretty bad about it now. I've legitimately had them put my bag onto an airplane going to a completely different city.
Jeez.
A completely different state than where I was going. But that used to work a lot better.
When you travel, do you bring a firearm with you?
It depends. Sometimes, yeah. When I went to the Firewatch Tower, I brought a gun with me.
Well, yeah, it's Montana. You gotta have a firearm there.
I mean, you don't have to, but I did.
It's Montana.
I did. I brought one with me.
Going to Montana without a firearm is like going to Philadelphia without cheesesteak. You feel naked.
I mean, you can get the cheesesteak in Philadelphia.
I guess you can get a gun in Montana too.
It's like going to Philadelphia without. It's like going to Philadelphia without bringing grease for the lampposts. Grease for the lampposts?
Yep. Do you have to grease the lampposts there?
No, I was making a joke about, I think it was Philadelphia. It was when the Eagles were playing in the Super Bowl, and before the game started, like the city of Philadelphia went around and greased all the lampposts so that people couldn't climb them after whether or not the Eagles won. And people were climbing them anyway. It's like, that's not going to stop them.
Yeah.
From Philly, they don't care.
They'll find a way.
They'll do it. This guy out there with crampons, just like... One of the last times I flew with a gun, I got really mad at TSA because they opened my bag. There was a pistol in the container, and there was ammunition in the magazines.
Wow.
They were completely separate. So, like, there's the pistol, it's in one thing. The ammunition, I had a whole separate container with ammunition in it.
Okay.
The way they have it written is that the ammunition must be separate from the gun, obviously, and it has to be in a container.
Okay.
The container I have is this, like, I say soft pouch. It's kind of like a lunchbox, but way more rigid than a nylon lunchbox.
Okay.
And they opened it up and they saw the pistol magazines with ammo in them. They said that needs to be in a container. They said it is in a container.
Yeah, you open the container.
You open the container it's in. They said, well, it needs to be in a hard container. And I said, okay, what do those magazines count as then? They said, well, no, it can't be in the magazines because it needs to be in a container.
The magazines are the container.
And the bullets could come out of the magazines.
Not really.
What they're worried about, I'll tell you what they were worried about, was the ammunition coming out of the magazine and rolling around inside the container and bumping into something and going off.
Okay, I guess I can see their concern.
I guess. But the thing is, they are inside a container where there's nothing else in that container with the exception of the magazine that the bullet could bump into. And even then, the probability of that happening is you have a better chance of that airplane crashing than you do of the bullet coming out of the magazine and bumping into a sharp corner of the magazine and setting the round off. Mm-hmm. So what I had to do to appease the TSA agent was put tape over the magazines to ensure that the bullets stayed in the magazine.
I'm imagining Scotch tape.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Yeah. It literally was like the Scotch packing tape that they have behind the counter. I was insistent that the way I had it was good enough. Mm-hmm. They were insistent that it was not good enough. So they called another person over to mediate this dispute while I was taping up the first magazine. And he said, no, the tape isn't good enough. It's got to have cardboard on top of it. So I grabbed a piece of cardboard, put it over it, and then wrapped the tape around the cardboard and put the pistol magazine in there.
So
when I got to my destination and I opened that up, the cardboard had come off the magazine. Mm-hmm. The tape didn't come off the magazine, but the cardboard had come off the magazine.
Good, I'm glad the tape was there. I was afraid your bullets were naked.
So the thing that he had insisted on
the cardboard
did not work.
Yeah.
I will also add that none of the bullets came out of the magazine that the cardboard had come off of either. Mm-hmm. So my initial insistence would have been good enough.
Well, the tape did most of the heavy lifting there.
No, the one that the cardboard came off of.
Oh, okay. I know you and I aren't the only ones who have stories of TSA incompetence. It's fairly universal.
Mm-hmm. I buy specific locks for. So basically, when I fly, I have my check bag is a big Pelican case, because that has 2 locking points, and they're both like steel reinforced locking points. Which, let's be clear, if someone wants to get into your bag, it doesn't matter how your bag is set up. Somebody can get into it if they want to.
Yeah, of course.
It is all security is just an illusion of security, and you're basically trying to mediate how long it takes someone to get into your thing.
Joke's on you. I encrypted my suitcase.
My suitcase is just an NFT.
You don't have the code.
Yeah, it's non-fungible.
Stupid TSA agents trying to fungal my luggage.
Trying to fungal my tokens. I hate the TSA.
Yeah?
If you work for the TSA, quit your job. Quit your job. Go do something else. Go work for a private security company.
No, stay on with the TSA, but bring it down from the inside.
Just let people through. If a guy comes through with a fragmentation grenade, just let him go through. He knows what he's doing. You can trust him.
We're engaging in TSA nullification.
I honestly don't know if I've told that story about trying to go through airport security.
I know you've told me about the powder residue.
Yeah, the explosive residue one. I think that was just more in the fact that I was trying to bring back the tail of a mortar.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh no, you can't do that. It has explosive residue on it.
I hate it when the TSA doesn't let me bring things through, like my
that wasn't-
bayonet, my Zippo, my mortar shells.
That wasn't TSA. I think that was like a customs inspection beforehand. We had our big shipping container, or a Connex, as you call it in the Army or Marines. We put a bunch of our extra crap in there. So I put like my big Foot Locker that I had with random stuff in it. We put that in there, and then the customs agents showed up. They inspected it. They made sure everything was good, and then they closed the doors to it, and then we locked it with our lock, and then they put another tag on it that said that it had been inspected. If that tag was removed, technically the shipping container couldn't go anywhere, and it had to be inspected again.
Oh, all right.
So like they put their tag on it, and then from that moment on, it was like out of our hands. They took the shipping container, they put it onto a boat, and then the boat went across the ocean.
Okay.
So that was the point when they were like, oh, you can't bring this because it has explosive residue on it. Which, in retrospect, I should have just opened one of the drawers of, like, gun parts and just thrown the thing at the bottom of the drawer of gun parts.
Sure, because that thing was going to smell like gunpowder no matter what.
It's just made of gun parts! Just made of gun parts. It's like, they're not going to know. It just looks like gun parts to them. What do they know? Yeah. Anyway. It's just, it would have just gone on a shelf. Yeah. That's all it would have done. It would have just sat on a shelf.
On that shelf marked explosives that the firefighters would see?
Yes, it would have sat on that exact shelf. With the proximity fuse that I have for a 155mm howitzer round, and the multiple fragmentation and flashbang and smoke grenades
that you have acquired over the many years.
Yeah. I'm trying to convince myself that I don't need to buy a $300 inert thermobaric grenade. It's a Bulgarian thermobaric grenade, and I'm trying to convince myself that I don't. It's inert. It's not live.
If it's inert, then what's the point?
Man, I've spent stupid amounts of money on a thing that literally just sits on the shelf and does nothing before, so, like...
Yeah, whatever makes you happy.
Is $300 too much? Like, I could buy... There's a lot of other stuff I could get for $300. I don't need an inert thermobaric grenade, but it would be fun. But then once I have it, what am I going to do with it? It's just going to sit there.
Yeah.
So with the British practice grenades that I have, on one hand, it was like the constant thrill of the hunt of trying to find a place that I could get these things from. And then now that I have them, they sit on the shelf, and I'm really happy I have them. I'm glad that they're there.
But you enjoyed the hunt more than the acquisition.
No, not... Yes, but no. I don't know. Now I have moved on. There's another white whale. Technically, this one still existed at the same time.
So many white whales.
There are a lot.
It's a white pod.
This one existed at the same time. But the one I'm looking for right now is the Valmara 69. LMAO nice. It's the Valmara 69 landmine.
Okay.
Which basically just looks like a big soup can with a dome on the top of it and then like 5 spikes sticking out of the dome. And it is what would be classified as a bouncing Betty landmine. Where when it's tripped, it leaps up into the air and then detonates. I have the fuse mechanism, but I don't have the body of one. And I keep looking for one, and I have not been able to find it. So yeah, that's the thing I'm looking for now. There used to be a lot more of them. On like Gunbroker or online, and I have not seen them in a long time, and I wonder if the stock
has been depleted
of this inert landmine has disappeared entirely. I want to get one of those at some point, but also like fuck landmines.
Yeah, they're awful. When it comes to collecting this kind of stuff, do you follow the suggested guideline where you sit on it for 24 hours?
It depends on what the thing is. Generally, yeah, I kind of wait and see whether or not I want to get it.
See if that sensation passes.
Yeah. I like try to think about, do I actually want this thing? Do I want it just because I just saw it, or do I want it because I actually want it? But there have been a couple instances where it's like, nope, jumping on it right now. I'm buying it. I'm buying it now. Now. It's already paid for. This is literally the first time I have ever seen one, and I will never see one again.
I see.
I think the last thing that happened for was a Insight M3 flashlight that goes on like the FN5. It was just an old like pistol mounted flashlight from the year 2003.
Okay. So probably not very great at being a flashlight.
No, it's pretty crappy. It's a really low lumen output. It's an incandescent light bulb, which does mean that it's higher candela. The reason I just basically bought it the moment I saw it was the price was like $50, which was stupidly low. And 2, it came with literally everything. It came with the plastic box, the foam insert, an extra bulb, the light, the manual, the warranty registration card, and a Streamlight catalog.
And you were excited to see all
And
that
I was
in
just
one
like,
box.
I will never see, and the cardboard sleeve that goes around the plastic box. Like, I will never see all of this stuff together on one thing ever again. I'm buying it right now.
Okay.
So that was like the last one I bought. It's currently just kind of like sitting. I'm not doing anything with it because I can't put the FN57 in its box with the light mounted to it. But yeah. I collect a lot of crap, but like flashlights are one of the things I collect, and this is just like a weird, obsolete piece of technology.
I know you collect flashlights, which is why I was so dismayed when I gave you this old flashlight that I found in my grandpa's garage, and you didn't want it.
Well,
It was crappy, but I thought you liked crappy flashlights.
I mean, I like crappy flashlights, but when they're made by like an actual decent company. I'm sorry that I just immediately wrote it off, but it was kind of like it's like a flashlight that you would have bought it at a dollar store.
It's not great.
Yeah, they're not amazing. I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings.
No,
but,
it's
like,
all right.
maybe at some point I'll get a MacLight, like one of the like the 4D cell MacLight flashlights, and I'll just gut the interior and upgrade it with like a like a 4,000 lumen 200,000 candela bulb on the end of it. Then I could just beat somebody with a flashlight and blind them 6 times over.
Yeah. There's no way a flashlight like that would make it through TSA. There's no way.
You know, I've made it through TSA with my laser excited phosphor flashlight, so I think that might... I mean, the flashlight that I can literally take someone's glasses and use this flashlight to start things on fire. Like, it will actually cause retinal damage if you shine it in someone's face. It has a throw distance of over a mile. Like,
wow.
it is silly. I've barely ever used this flashlight for anything because of how stupidly powerful it is.
It sounds dangerous. I've looked into a flashlight before. I don't think I could stop myself from accidentally blinding myself.
You say that. I've blinded myself with flashlights several times. This flashlight, though, is kind of like... Did you have to throw fragmentation grenades in basic training?
Yeah.
You know when they put the fragmentation grenade in your hand and you can just feel how, like, you can feel the potential energy of this fragmentation grenade? It's like, you can see the JoJo, like, menacing aura coming off of it. That's kind of how I feel looking at this flashlight. It's like, it would be like standing on top of, like, a nuclear reactor. You're just like, I don't like this feeling that I have right now.
This is such a powerful feeling. I haven't felt this way in years. That's why I keep on buying guns, more and more guns to get the same high.
Like, that flashlight is actually kind of scary.
I like the idea that you might become numb to the power of the firearm. You have to get a flashlight to get the same.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I'll have to remember to bring that thing over here at some point.
Please don't. I'll blind myself. I can just see it happening. It's gonna cause retinal damage.
I mean, as long as you don't point it like at a reflective surface at your own face in the reflection, you should be okay.
Okay. Okay.